you generate the PIN, the so-called 100,000 PIN, 91,000 PIN, that then becomes 88,000? How does it work?
So Paul, first of all, let me say thank you for these opportunities to at least bring some clarity to the major issue that is trending currently, and also to thank your viewers for listening to us and for viewing us. National Service, I just want to give you some background, and I know you did some background. In 2015, there was a scandal, and that scandal brought in Dr. Kwesa White, who was the then chief presidential staffer at the presidency, was reassigned to National Service to be the acting executive director. When he came in, he put in certain steps. The first steps he put in, because before Kwesa White, the payment of National Service personnel's allowance was done on table. Okay, it was done on table. So when Kwesa White came, then he decided that let's now pay National Service personnel by eSwitch. And eSwitch is Bank of Ghana, GIPS. GIPS is Bank of Ghana subsidiary agency. So they will pay, and the eSwitch is biometrically a card that you use to do. You have to take your biometric data for you to have the eSwitch card, so that you'll be able to access money that is put on your card. Then in 2017. We were invited by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Nana Adom Otchere, to serve the good people of this country as the acting executive director and my two deputies. And when we came in, by then, we came in February, because I got my appointment in February, but the National Service year starts from September to August. So I came in February, so the 2016-2017 service year have already begun.
Yes.
So my first posting was...
That's where Suleiman Brahma said there was no problem.
Yes, that is not, he didn't even, that wasn't what he said, it wasn't a problem. The next one.
The next one, yes.
The next one. So the 2016-2017, I didn't do the postings. I just came and met it. So the next one that I did was the 2017-2018. 2017-2018, which he said there is no problem with that. So I won't even go there.
Fair enough.
But let me give you the background.
2018-2019
is the issue. But before I go to the issue, I want to take the public and your viewers and the Ghanaian public to the processes that we go through in deployment of our National Service personnel. First of all, when the time is due for National Service deployment, we have our institutions. And when we have the general institutions, that are the universities, both public and private, we also have the nursing training colleges, we have the teacher training colleges. So the general posting is the universities and the polytechnics. So we write to them that they should bring us their final year class list, so that we'll be able to process them for National Service. So once all these institutions, and before I go, we have 3 cycles of National Service, as you said. We have the General National Service, we have the Teachers National Service, and we have the Nurses National Service. So when we come to the General National Service, their period is different. It starts from September to August. Then the nurses start from somewhere April. The first cohort is April, and the second cohort is also September. The teachers, normally we deploy them in December. Then they'll start in the new year. So these are the period that we do the deployments. Then once the data is submitted by the general, for example, in 2017, my first posting will start, normally we'll start earlier before the September. So we'll ask the institutions to bring the data. When the data come, we then process them. But because in 2016, 2017, we observed National Service, and there were issue of, and because His Excellency also before he appointed us, and because of the previous experience, he gave us a marching order, especially me, because the President himself signed my appointment letter, and he gave me a marching order to ensure that we bring sanity to National Service as far as Ghost name is concerned. So I was much concerned. So when they bring it, we generate PIN numbers for them. And those days, the PIN numbers...
When they bring the list.
When they bring the list.
University of Ghana brings 10,000.
Yes.
Then you generate PIN numbers for the 10,000.
10,000. They will come...
By their names, index numbers?
It will come with their index numbers and their names. But we use the index numbers to generate the PIN number for them. We'll use the...
So that every PIN number should be unique?
Yes, to the person. But our first deployment, when we did our first deployment in 2017 to 2018, which Suleiman Ibrahim of Fourth Estate said there was no issue, we detected a lot of problems. And the problems we detected included impersonations, and some people, for example, Paul, if you have completed teacher training college and you are posted to Tamale to go and teach, and maybe you had a diploma from teacher training college or you had teacher certificate from teacher training college and you're teaching in Tamale, you're already a permanent teacher. So when you get the opportunity to further your studies at a university, for example, University of Ghana, and you finish your university and you are going to, you are supposed to, we ask the university to submit their class list to us. They will include your name into the class list, but because you're a teacher, you will go straight to your teaching because you were posted as a servant, somebody who is already on government payroll. So you go back to your teachings, your study leaves, you go back to the schools that you are teaching. So you might not be interested. Those days, the teachers were not interested in doing national service. But we realized that in our first posting in 2017 to 2018, people were impersonating
the teachers.
The teachers.
Okay.
The teachers, they were
so impersonating. How did you deal with that?
Because we realized there was investigation. Manasseh Azure did the investigation, and we called in even national security.
So Manasseh is also fourth estate.
Yes, at that time he did the investigation. He even visited my office at that time. Then
you spoke to him.
Yeah, I spoke to him, and I took him through all the process. Then I took him through all the process. Then in 2017, 2018, when we did all this. We identified this impersonation. We called on national security and the BNI. Then the BNI, it was BNI, National Investigative Bureau, NIB, to assist us to come out with a very solid platform so that we'll be able to deploy this national service without a program. So our next posting was 2018, 2019.
That's where the problem is.
And that's where Suleiman and Ibrahim have detected this problem. In 2018, 2019, on 4th May 2018, we issued a press release asking all prospective national service that their PIN numbers have been generated. And this was 100,209 PIN numbers that we generated from all the institutions. Out of that, 85,708 were deployed. As at the time of deployment, those who have gone through the registration, because I was telling you that when we generate the PIN numbers for them, they have to go through the registration process. And because we detected this duplication, we put in some system, a new national service deployment system. And in that deployment system that we put, number one, we put in the central database system. We linked it with our website. And because we link it to our website, the central base system contains the national ID, the passport of everybody who has passports. ID is on the central database. We also have the driver's license. Those who have driver's license too is on the central database. Those who have slate card it was also on the central database. So we then decided that, okay, if we have this data, that we can use it to link up with our national service system, it is easier for us to be able to detect those who are impersonating. Why? Because once you come to register, we have generated a PIN number for you with your index number and your name. Then you come and register. First of all, we'll ask you to put in your index number. Once you put in your index number, you have registered, we'll ask you for your national ID number. And that is the time we introduce the national ID number. And then on this communication, we spell out all the details that you need to make sure that you're able to go through the registration. So the the system will pull your ID called Adom Otchere with your passport picture, your passport with a bio page where your picture is, so that to ask you, can you confirm your details? Then once you confirm, then you go through the registration process. Then you complete your registration.
So you mean if I'm going to register as a national service person and I have a passport, since you introduced this central database, once my name is there, the passport will come up.
Yes.
For me to confirm.
Confirm. And if you don't have passport and you have
any other card that is
it will pop up.
Okay, all right.
Then what we also detected during that process, people, when you have, as part of the registration process, even when you have your ID has popped up and you have indicated that it is you, Paul Adom Otchere, then we'll say, okay, upload your photograph so that we can match the photo on the ID vis-a-vis the photo on the photo that you uploaded.
Do all these things. If you do all these things, then or are you suggesting that it's because of these checks that you had the 100,000 to 85?
Yes.
So that 15,000.
Yes. So that 15,000
didn't survive the test.
The test. Most of them did not survive the test.
I get it.
Most of them. So we deployed. Then at the time of.
But Suleiman Brahma seems to say that is normal.
So
he said there was 90 something, 800. That's quite normal.
But messing up because he was using the deployed list as the eligible list. The eligible list are the class list that the university have submitted to us. Then once we generate the PIN, they become eligible. But those who want to travel, but then if you're in the university, if I'm in the university and I want to travel to do my master's, and even the University of Ghana submits my name, I'll be interested to go and do the registration. I'll go, just go. So those who go through the registration, they are the only people we deploy.
So you have the 100, then you have the 90, which he saw, which Suleiman Brahma talks about.
85,000, which he talked about.
No, 85 is the final one, but he talked about the 90-something and says that the discrepancy between that and 85 is fine. But you are saying you actually started from 100 just to come to 90. And you want us to believe that it is because of the central database system that people couldn't survive. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, then in 2018, after we have done this, somewhere in November, government took a decision. And the decision was that as at that time, teacher trainees were not going through national service. It was only nurses and the general national service personnel, and that is the university and the polytechnics and nurses. And the nurses had 2 cohorts or 2 badges. Then the government took a decision that all teacher training graduates should go through a licential exams and pass. Then before government will then get clearance from Ministry of Finance for them to be able to do what? To be employed. But once they are doing their licential exams, they should take advantage to do their national service because it will become a requirement for them to be able to be employed. Then national service, at that time there was even agitation from the teacher training association. So the minister then invited, that was the letter that the minister invited the leadership, invited national service management, and invited teachers council for us to meet and let them know why the reason why they should do national service. And we were successful. So they accepted. And they even after that came to my office, we met, and they issued a press release. We also issued a press release, and it's in public. After that, then we deployed our first cohort of teachers, which was in November that we deployed that. And we made it public.
You told the general public, the one I read?
Yes, the one you read.
How many people were there, do you know?
There were about 16,000.
16,000, okay.
Yes.
So that was the first teachers.
So the first teachers postings was about 16,000.
Okay.
16,000 that we posted. Then once we posted them, but when Suleiman Ibrahim did, he only took. So at the end of the service year, national service year 2018-2019, we are supposed to go to Parliament.
Yes.
And normally when you are going to Parliament, you have to then take the summation of those who did the national service general posting, and that is the universities and the polytechnics, those who did the teacher training college postings, the first cohort, and the nurses training college, the 2 cohorts. The summation is what you take
to Parliament.
Parliament will obviously ask, that's why did you release postings for general national service personnel, and they are 85,000, and you are bringing 100 and something thousand.
Absolutely.
Obviously they will ask.
Yeah.
Obviously they will ask. So that is where the challenge Fourth Estate had, because these things are in public domain.
So they looked at it as a scandal. That's how they saw it.
They saw it.
A scandal.
They saw it.
Told Ghanaians as a scandal.
They saw it as a scandal, but it wasn't any scandal because maybe they failed to do further investigation
to see that there are 2 cohorts of nurses and one teacher.
Teachers.
So there are 3 groups of people who have been added to the regular national service, and you reported that to Parliament.
Yes.
You gave Parliament the document.
We gave to Parliament.
So Parliament is not worried.
Yes, and then let me tell you, Paul. There's another thing that my experience. Even when you have generated the PINs, the PIN numbers for the national service personnel, and they have gone through the registration process, and it is time for you to do release those who are successful and validated, gone through all the processes of validation and validated, and you are posting them. There are majority who are still on the system pending.
Oh, you have a column for them pending?
Yes, pending column.
Why are they pending?
They are pending because they've not been able to satisfy the requirement, the controls that we are putting on the system.
Now, I was coming to the index number, the duplication of index numbers, wrong index numbers. Suleiman Brahma shows index numbers of Winneba Education University, and he says that the index numbers follow a certain pattern. He showed other institutions, and all those index numbers were found in the national service document.
So that is
He's suggesting to us that these are the basis for the ghost names, I think.
Yeah, so what Suleiman Ibrahim did not tell the public is that we have the system have an entry point an exit point. And then the exit point is at the time of receiving your allowance from gifts.
First allowance.
Your first allowance. You need to go through the registration process. You need to be verified through all the verification process. Then you have to then go, and after you have been posted, you have to then go to verification, biometric verification at the various regional centers first. Then once you are accepted and you are posted to your user agency then will validate you monthly to confirm that you are post. Then they submit a report to you before you get paid.
So what's the point you're making?
So I'm making a point that the figures Suleiman Ibrahim, the data that he got, are people who might have tried to enter the system, but they were not successful at the exit point of receiving allowances.
Okay, so you are saying that we should ask Suleiman Ibrahim and the fourth estate that these names that they put out, the index numbers, duplication of names, did they check whether they received the first allowance?
That is another thing.
That's the critical point.
That is what I'm saying.
It's at that point that we have a scandal.
That's scandal.
But if they didn't receive, that means that the system's checks.
The system checks
prevent them out.
Yeah, prevent that. Even though when you come into the system, you might see it to be in the system. But which category of the system are they? Are they on pending? Are they on hold? Are they successful? Or
so if they are successful, then it's a problem.
Yeah, if they are successful,
so
then
your call on the fourth estate is that give us one of those names that you can trace to show that they received.
And also, even it will be difficult because it's not possible for one person to have the same ID. How are you going to acquire your e-switch card?
What is e-switch? Why do you
The e-switch card is a biometric verified payment system that we use in paying the national service personnel.
So I cannot acquire the e-switch card if I'm using the name Kwekwe Japan.
You can acquire it, but it is only unique to you.
So after I have used it, nobody can use it.
After you have used, nobody can use it.
And after I have used it, I cannot use Kojo Upon
to go and do because the verification will get you. You'll be emulated. Even though you might try, but you will not be successful.
So you think all these 20, for the 2018 that we are talking about is really much ado about?
So even at gifts, Bank of Ghana, there are times that we will submit lists to them, and they will tell us that this particular service personnel have already done their national service before.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And they'll send us those data.
And it's part of the verification process. So what do you do to those people?
Those people they will block them from the system from being received.
But why don't you go further to arrest them and prosecute?
Oh, because we don't have the capacity. Normally, we report them to the security agencies to deal with them.
Let me come to Nanabi.
Thank you very much, Paul. Paul, what Fourth Estate did was just to play some sensational games. They did a shoddy work. I would never call this investigation. Why do I say so? Look, they showed a video of Mustafa Yusuf, myself. Look, I was never interviewed as to my role because I was there from 2017 February to September 2018 when I left because I was elected as National Youth Organizer then. Now, what can amount to a scandal? Because you are saying that these are ghost names, and then they go ahead to do a certain calculation, and then they put up a figure, 2.2 billion.
Oh, there's a scandal.
Meanwhile, you did not tell us that you have actually approached Gibbs.
To confirm
whether they have paid. Because we are talking about payment.
Yeah, they must have made
all that you did.
2 billion.
Yes, I listened to him and you've watched it. All that he did was to pick the publication we usually make, the number, the figure, the general postage.
Yes, the 85.
And he mentioned it.
And compare with Parliament.
Yes. He mentioned. And then he said that he himself said that they picked the numbers from the publication that we issued.
Yes, he said so.
Number one, and then he said, and the figure two from the Parliamentary Select Committee.
And he identified the discrepancy
of education, and then he just used that.
I don't know why. Do they suggest that nobody else will see that as a discrepancy? No MP will see it.
What is so surprising?
It's been all over.
What is surprising?
I come back to
what is even surprising is that after they've done all this investigation, and it is revealing that even during my tenure, there are issues that they've identified. I was a public figure. I was a minister for Youth and Sports. Yes. I was a member of Parliament.
They never contacted him. At
least you could have written to me. Fourth Estate have been writing letters to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and we respond. So they could have written to us, and for me to respond to some of the things they've seen during my time
at National Service. Yeah, they could have.
But in his reportage, he created the impression that at least they contacted us and we didn't respond.
Yeah, I heard him say that. Maybe he called you and he didn't get you during the
but
campaign. The heat of the campaign.
He never called. He could have sent a
So
text
you are
message.
concerned about the work that has
That
been
is
done.
it. The work is a very shoddy work. I will not call this. In fact, that is the more reason why Mr. Daniel Domlevo, who is a member of the oral team, said that a lot of the papers presented to them would need serious auditing.
He said there are rumors
Exactly.
and that they will need to be confirmed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Because national service, the way and manner we conduct our business is quite unique. So you need to do proper investigation. Number one, Mustafa mentioned that at the entry point, anytime we invite students, prospective service personnel, we are invaded by fraudsters, the system. So at the entry point, you will see all manner of information, all. In fact, that is where somebody will even input the name of that Kenyan or the face of that Kenyan. He said it. Because at that point, they can pick anything. Because
So they are trying their luck.
They are trying their luck.
So if they get in, what happens? They get salary.
No,
If they're able to succeed.
no, you cannot succeed because
Or you cannot
by the
succeed.
time you get to the exit
It's
point,
foolproof.
yes, by the time you get to the exit point, you would have gone to the region, you would have done your biometric verification, and the system would have pulled you out. So what the fourth estate did was only to secure information at the entry point.
That's what you think.
That is it.
Gibbs is the one who pays.
Because the only way you
So
can
they should
tell
be
us
asking
that.
Gibbs that how much money
In
you pay
all
for
the-
national
So now,
service?
do
all
you
their
know something?
investigation.
They mentioned somebody called Daniel Muchu. What if they are really doing proper investigation? They should have gone to Gibbs and said that did Daniel Muchu receive payment?
Yes, that's very important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that is how the system runs. And that is how it is. A lot of people from time immemorial, you have a lot of people invading the system. Why? Because
There's opportunity.
there's it, opportunity. So you need to always consider the entry point and then the exit point. So when you use information at the entry point and then you label it as a scandal and you put a certain spin, sensational. And at a point he was even making a categorical statement. Because you recall that when he said that, 2017, 2018, there were no problems.
There are no problems, yes.
But the fraud started in
2018, 2019.
exactly.
Yeah.
He was even making categorical statements.
But President Mahama has called for an investigation in the National Service. If there's
So
nothing in the... let me
ideally,
come to you, Minister.
ideally, wouldn't have even come here. Would have waited for this investigation to be done because definitely when they do the investigation, they will find the truth. But because he, even after he has submitted the report to the oral team, he has petitioned Office of the Special Prosecutor, and also even President have issued an investigation to be done. He decided to go to TV3, and even after that, he could decide to go to TV3 to do it. That's why it is important that in the court of public opinion, we bring clarity
Okay.
to whatever he's putting out.
Let me come to...
There is another issue that I want to bring. There's another issue.
Yes, please.
And I missed it when I was taking you through how we do national service. And that issue is that national service, when we are going to receive the data from the institutions, there are three ways that we receive. At the time that I was there, there are three ways that we use to receive the information. Number one, and all the institutions have to follow all the three ways. You have to send an email with your class list to National Service Secretariat email address. Two, you have to put the data on the pen drive for National Service. Three, you have to add a hard copy of all the master list to National Service. So this data is something that if they go to National Service and they want to find out the institutions, whether they are goals, whether the institutions presented to National Service scheme or not, they will be able to find.
Okay, let me bring in one of our interns here who helps us to do this work. His name is Mr. He's just recently completed National Service. Mr., tell us, where did you do your National Service?
I had my national service at the Drivers and Vehicle License Authority Regional Office, at Greater Accra Regional Office.
Which institution did you come from to National Service?
The University of Ghana, Legon.
So how did you know, how did you get your PIN?
Usually our pins, we receive our pins, they are already generated for us, so we get them and we are supposed to check where we've been posted to by usually there are issues where there are cases of special posting where you get to apply for wherever you want to have your national service. But some of us already have ours posted to us, and we're able to check with our national service PIN code.
Okay, so you get information on your phone, or how do you know your PIN? You go there or what?
Usually you receive it through message, your message,
phone,
SMS,
okay.
yes.
So when you receive the PIN, then you go to DVLA?
Yes, please.
Then we go there, and what happens there?
Usually, you don't just go to DVLA. It depends. We have our municipal offices. Me personally, I was at the LADMA, Ladade Kontompo Municipal Assembly. So you take your forms there, and it's being endorsed for you to actually show that you are registered under that municipal assembly. So then you take it to DVLA, and it's also endorsed. Then you bring it back to LADMA to show that you've been accepted to have your national service at DVLA or wherever you were assigned to. Then so when you bring it there, your biometrics are captured. And with those biometrics, for my time, every month you are actually supposed to submit an evaluation form. So with that evaluation form, because it's tied to your biometrics, it can't be submitted for you, it can't be done on your behalf. You need to be there yourself. So in instances where you actually don't submit your evaluation form, there were cases where your national service allowance is delayed because apparently it's a critical procedure that has to be done. So if, for say, you actually skip sending your evaluation form in the month of July, when allowances are being disbursed for July, yours actually comes later. So if you do send it in the month of September, you do get all of it, say 3 months or 4 months accumulated in September.
I see, that's interesting. So which year did you do your national service?
It was 2023 to 2024. I began in 2023 November and ended in 2024 October.
So Minister, this will be regular national service?
Yes.
So
That's regular.
Regular. So non-regular is nurses and teachers?
Yes. The non-regular is the nurses and teachers.
TVETs, they do national service?
So they don't.
Ah, okay.
Maybe in the future.
Maybe they should be added
know,
soon.
in the Act 426 makes it mandatory for every Ghanaian to go through national service. Other than that, you can't even get a job.
But what you have told us here relates to the time of 2017 to 2021.
2021, and even in, and
So
it's run
that
through.
is the principle. That
It's
is how
run
it is.
through all the way to
Yes.
2025. So, for example, in 2024, 2025, we were told that the president has directed that the national, the NIB should investigate. And I'm not going to speak on authority, but what I'm assuming is that what they have paid is only for the general national service persons. But because the national service for teachers have just been deployed, and the current management will have to make provision for that national service personnel, teachers who have been deployed going forward when the new budget is going to be presented. So it's not going to be 91,000 throughout the year. It's going to increase.
Yeah. And this is the increase that we are calling scandal.
Yes, this is the increase that they are calling. So when
But what if we add
so
up?
what?
If we add up teachers and nurses in your time, and we still find that there's 1,000 left, what do we do?
So what normally happens, per my experience, that when we have even generated the PIN, we have generated the PIN numbers, and people have gone through the registration process and they have deployed. Most often, after even the deployment, prospective national service personnel who have not been able to go through the national service registration process will come to the office and say, "Oh, you've done the deployment. I have not been able to get posted." Then we'll check on the system. Why is the person not posted? So in most cases, we can then there are some document that they are supposed to upload on the system, and they haven't done that, and they will then do that and be cleared. So, but those postings, when we make them, we don't issue a public. We don't issue.
So, for instance, the 85, not all register at the same time.
No,
Some will come and register 2 months later.
Even after we have released the 85,000,
Some
even though we
come
generated PIN number for over 100,000, some will come after we have released the posting. That their registration is after
So
we have
there's still a group to account for.
Yes.
How do we know that figure?
You get it at the data because the system capture all this.
Okay, so the one that goes to Parliament has included
Yes,
all
included
those
that.
people. I get it.
Included all that.
We have to open the phone lines on this and let people comment on this. It's very, very, very interesting. Okay, viewers, what can I say? Okay.
There's another thing that I want to add. Even when the universities have submitted all the lists to us, then we have generated PIN numbers. you will still get some of the universities, some of the institutions coming back with supplementary lists.
After you have issued your press release? After the press release is gone?
After the press release is gone. So if you don't go back on the central database and you just use the press release as your base source document, you'll
find more names.
Yeah, you'll find more names instead of there is ghost names.
But those names that come to you later, are they also entitled because they're Ghanaians?
Oh, they are Ghanaians.
Yeah. And so they're entitled.
They are entitled.
So you have to post them.
Yeah, and you can get the records from the email the institutions will send, and the pen drive they will send, and also the hard copy they will send during my time.
Yes.
During the current management, my successors management, they even upgraded. During their time, you don't have to even send. They set a code for all they set up a platform for all the training institutions. So when you are going to send your national service master list, you just upload it on the system. Then you sign off, as Suleiman Ibrahim mentioned. But even when they have done that, and the service deployments have done, some of the institutions will still come back with supplementary.
Yeah. Because Paul, you know why? This is because if you check from the institutions per their internal practices, there are some students who will always supply their information very late. So,
or they are owing, they've not paid their fees, and the institutions will say, okay, because you haven't paid your fees, will not allow you to do the national service.
Exactly.
Then when we release, they'll go and give them pressure, then they'll bring a supplementary list. So if you just take the publication.
Officially, they will present their data, but then subsequently, they will receive some other information, and then they will label it as supplementary, and then they will bring it, and then we are obliged to also work on them. So that is why I'm saying, Paul, in all of this, in conclusion, look, if you want to plunge the country into such a sensational publication, and then you are saying that you want to label it as ghost names, and then you don't go to the end point. Where is the end point? Where payment is made. And then you only take a certain figure at the time we are making this known to the public. And then you go to Parliament, and the Parliament is what Mustafa has just explained, a summation of the regular national service plus the first cohort of nurses, second cohort of nurses, and then the teacher trainees. So you omitted 3 important elements.
That
is what, yes, you omitted. And then,
but the other thing is, why didn't they put a question to Parliament? I mean, whoever in Parliament, this committee in Parliament received the Committee on Education.
Yeah,
so the chairman of the Committee on Education, they're asking that, Mr. Chairman, did you notice this discrepancy?
On this 9th parliamentary, to go to the Committee of Youth, because national service now have been put under the Ministry of Youth and
Empowerment.
Yes.
Okay, it's taken from education.
Yes.
Education. Okay. So, Paul, that is the point I'm making. So that is why I'm saying that for me, it is a shoddy work. We've been misinformed. If you're talking about ghost names and ghost payment, and then you do your own calculation and you put such a huge figure, and then you throw the entire nation into that mood, at least do a very good job, proper job. Go to that point where payment is made and check whether those people were paid. Because by the time you start at the entry point and that by the time you exit, just like what the young man just explained, you need to go through a lot of biometrics, a lot of verification, a lot of processes. And at the point, at the regional level, the reason why we do so is because they even want to see you physically.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Exactly. So that is why we do it even at the regional basis, at the district basis, at the municipal basis.
Let's wrap up.
The other issue I want to add, because of mischief, people will say, okay, we set payment points, so we'll go to controller. And controller, in most cases, you can send a request to controller. Controller, for example, you will send a request of 85,000 to controller that these are my national service personnel. Because you have deployed them, they are in the various use agencies. Then controller release that particular amount to GIBS. GIBS is not going to pay the 85,000 until they are validated at the various use agencies. So in most cases, when you are even going to pay, you might not even pay the 85,000 service personnel. You might pay maybe 73,000.
Yes.
Then when they come, so the payments will even be less. It is when they then come, they've not received payment.
Yes, this whole conversation is on the payment.
So when you go,
whether there's been
I'm saying this because because we are saying payment, people will say, okay, then let's go to controller. Controller say he paid 85,000. So all of them, it means if you compare this figure to
so we say gifts is the place to
yes, it's gifts.
That is what payment.
They will do, they verify.
Yes.
They
Verify.
Controller makes the money available. Okay.
And
So
it goes
controller
to
is not the
national,
last stop.
and it will go to National Service Account at Bank of Ghana and gifts. They will convert it to e-cash for the e-cash to be put on the gift e-switch system for them to receive.
Okay. Let's take a.
I've been coming here regularly. You get it? Yeah. I chose to leave because I was uncomfortable with one human being who made an attempt on my life. Hey. Yes, it's documented. Or being a me in Pabonini, or being a everybody knows this. So why are they making it look like kind of good?
Headlines.
Oh yeah, headline. But them person me trying to say, my TB now into cat me. Only gonna hire on team seminar. Me mami on TB.
Yeah.
So who are you chairman? They can say yeah. So like the idea that me chairman was problem. Nah, me call him if he had no. No. Me if you are not yeah, the party be wa. Me no na table me di and I'm crying say me there me ko. O say eh hu ahwe nyi am say na actually. Na me person me chance. Mo ba me be ma wa kwa bantin. Say on say Amorim na nkasa no sheda anya ade o.
Further questions for her. I'm on the ball right 73 no. Almost said the last time United lose 12 matches na 13. Omo call championship.
No you are say no.
Near 73.
73 dey are dey we ase.
Oh, I come up with here.
Me say oh, na dey. Fenyame. Onya mo ba musuma me.
Portugal. Adom Otchere, Bravio.
And then Monday no chance I send them out because so buy no. Nyama we nyina me say report ni menya daily briefing. So one day I say oh now what found where dia. And I no. Open temporary and also open permanent to about
permanent.
What's the guy saying?
Oh,
but you see, on so yeah, men black nipa. I've grown up in New Year. Let me tell you a beautiful story. But one of my friends said, "Me share me didim, enemy no mu ye. Na me share manamo. I saw dying. Na owe yasia. I share breathe you say baby. No, can't am see me my bro de be hard be ba. No catch me so me call officer, me first scan to scan my menhwe. I mean for white handkerchief. Adwuma na me ko nipa me hia na first no. Me ntu me bottom. Eni scan the woman man. Ma menhwe scan na me for white handkerchief ne nka ho. Ya kwanche wa chere me. Nipa no. Atesem ya. Odi yawo because me kata no su ni ho. Na me say hey. Sisi no. This is a story between myself and one person I worked here with, Newton, canteen train. He was the first person I saw that day. I think others saw me do that. Me go to many handkerchief in my Kanta and I'm a coach. Mamika Kanta has actually lost the dad. I've also lost the dad. So, and then Mamika said to say, yeah. Then I knew my mom was right. What time was that? So like, let's not make issues out of it. So, say now, because what to say, me chairman problem. Make me
first scan okay, Mate. And officially, I mean, this kind of
kind of make me an offer.
Mate.
Now see, I'm here.
Yes, what
because I come back was this also.
This is who say I'm a church or more baby.
Because me say when I'm in fan count. I'm say most now bodin. Newton so say massa now foul. And I come here say na offer way.
So I just call you mommy. I call we no dey udi na chia. Anyway,
my old day.
Me tan wo makomam.
Tina Savage leaving.
I say Tahunu, on your shirt.
So you bubble breezes in there. Oh, Nana, you mistake. My wife mistake. No, Nana, come soon. Many you want to judge.
Bishop, when I hold my shall for no band when I'm the Messiah.
Yeah, I can see my main show. Yeah, I'm in charge. A teal for now.
I tell for this.
Me business now. I'm meeting me corner. I need. Maybe answer sign. You get a point. Adoma Otchere. Any day we. Any and that asset Newton. If the environment is toxic, leave. I can't say yes, was sorry in the so. Do you understand that?
As what feel to be.
You are not the real you.
Yeah.
Anthony, no sign. Look, sometimes get it. The skills it takes to make it at pro level, man, you have no idea. So bit me a bobo do sa level. It's the young country, man.
It's true.
So be bobo now say we a professional. Look, na Brazil players do it all. Onim do the money opportunity. Omo opportunity no omo maka. From Brazil to Ajax to Manchester United. One sign. Name the environment dimmed him. Until they Crespo, any Chelsea, Crespo, any Inter Milan, and then AC Milan. Crespo back Chelsea, I say no. But I'll call back to the favorable environment. No, you're okay. Yeah. Now you see, the best way to picture this is to school. I personally don't like the way we assess students here. Because fancy. So koi abe, if you do so. Now the neko insume. So on fish enko to mika. Abe ni mika no to. Ni basic worry ebro be ransom no. Survival. Menya nkwa na because enye ne tena be ne ho. Inti onna mu nyina no, he is worried, he is disturbed. Inti adwuma na nkasa e wo se oye no. Ontimi nya because enye no ho no dwen, there is a survival issue. Sa na you fish no, e de ne betena dua so so ne ado enko mika. Ono so free nsuo no mu no. Inti nya mika no to no kra no ya odwen. Inti de bia na kra kabrofo. Daddy, good morning. How are you? Teacher said this on anima there Debbie. Debbie, nya kra no te brofo no anima there. No. Because I can't be or ontimi expression ontimi nkasa. Brofo no about the pen to obey trauma come. Nature there no. Until you can't examine a crowd or tro any a crowd or kasa same. You can't assess them together. Kroma mi TCCA Achuta Maklo multimedia and I Emmanuel Ayamga sporty. Me who so much trouble be I will go and read because I'll pick up new words. Achuta Maklo is in this kasa already so. He's forcing it. He's one of the best writers I've seen.
Yeah.
So the principal so ne Ayamga ni nia. So now what they are coming out now the new team now who do you be trying I can listen to them one day. You get it? Inti Anthony case no should be a good example for every single soul. So what I say, look, the environment you are in, any bibia. So if you have to see an alcohol to mommy be at the toilet down, edi kokwa, a bon, mommy will so dear. I can't say no way to me di koko.
Sandy Kosi crab.
Mommy will pa. Now, opa one mommy ni ya grunt na ho na otwe, and no be fa. And no fa we are, will be di jollof. So the habitat you are in influences your delivery as a person. It doesn't change. Inti no yensua bibim film. Say a bit me aba say every other thing is there for you, but won't mean yet. What would you do? Now so free now could be for Korean. We are seeing crowd so. You get a point? So it's very important. Say in your football, me never did back what. Make me say more life storylines to say football. You know, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the environment he finds himself in. Then there's no about him.
That is a baby mass now.
No, me come back on. Yeah, no, my sister. They're not then a knife football. Wow, will be a check if the Betis in Kanwa. Check it. You see, is BBS be a new thing. guys. No, Kasakasi Minya.
Betis. Breaking record.
Crowell record and sound work.
At some point, he was the most expensive player.
Yes.
Betis. Did you see Mukas in Sida? That a skillful left-footed Brazilian is in Betis.
On the board, and FIFA so bar France 98, Denelson. Jerobino Moabaya Duhus can Denelson.
Office Sao Paulo 98 now, Bar.